This is the Agribusiness Report. Our special guest today is Scott Bushkie. Scott is managing partner and founder of Cornerstone Business Services in Green Bay. We'll talk about funding. We'll talk about selling businesses, small businesses. That's all ahead. First off, Ag Secretary Brooke Rollins in South Texas.
We are fighting the screwworm domestically, announcing plans for a sterile fly dispersal facility at Moore Air Base in Hidalgo County. We have the facilities in Panama. We're funding another facility south of the border. What this will allow us to do is to fly the larva up from the facility in Panama and the other facility here to South Texas, here in Hidalgo County, to finish off so that the sterile flies are ready to go, load them in the planes, and then get them across the border.
This is the Agribusiness Report. I'm Tony St. James. We're joined today by Scott Bushkie. Scott is managing partner, founder, Cornerstone Business Services. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tony. Glad to be here.
Okay, a little background about you and Cornerstone Business Services. How'd you get where you are today? And tell us about Cornerstone.
Yeah, I fell into it by accident 27 years ago this July, and worked for another firm for a couple of years, and then really looked around and said, where our business owners really need the most help. And we saw that there were a lot of companies that were helped in the Main Street America, kind of the $0 to $2, $0 to $3 million size of companies. Those were being taken care of by business brokers and commercial real estate firms. And then I saw the next big tranche was these bigger investment banks, and they were doing a really good job with high closing rates and limited clientele. But what I saw was, what just astonished me, is that their minimum fees were like $1 million. Like, Tony, I'm not even going to talk with you unless I can make $1 million or $2 million in a success fee off of you. And I said, well, what about all those companies in between? So think of a $3 to $50, $3 to $100 million enterprise value. I said, who takes care of those? And it's like, yeah, it's really underserved and not being the smartest guy in the room most times. I go, you know what? I think I found my niche. I'm going to bring the investment banking level down to this low bit of market. So most of our clients are in that 1 to 15 EBITDA range, or $5 to $150 million revenue.
Well, and we're talking small businesses now, and you commissioned a study, the national study on selling your business. And why commission this study, and what was your thought process behind it?
Yeah, so great question. So we've done all we do at Cornerstone is three things. We help business owners understand their value of their business with a fair market analysis. We help them grow through acquisition, but where we spend most of our time is helping business owners sell their companies and maximize that value or what's important to them. And, when I started in this industry back in 1998, the closing ratios were 20 to 30% nationally, what people said. And you think with all the technology upgrades and all the education out there that'd be better, but the studies still show, or that people still say that the national average is around 25% plus or minus companies successfully sell. And just doing this, I just said, our closing ratio is 85% at Cornerstone. And I'm like, it's just the national average isn't good enough. I've got to understand why. This is all I've done pretty much my whole entire adult life. And I want to understand, why are these smart, resilient, great problem solving people, why are these men and women having such success building a company, but having such poor results selling a company? So that's why we really wanted to dive in and get inside the minds of 750 business owners, with at least $5 million in revenue all over the country, to say, why is it so poor? What are you thinking about? And what is the mindset around you, and all those different things? And that's why we did the study, and try to peel that onion back and really try to uncover what I think is almost a epidemic of why these numbers are so low.
So why do business owners really struggle to sell their business?
Yeah, it was the study and the findings were just crazy and eye-opening. I mean, we asked the question of what best describes your mindset around you selling your business. And there was all kinds of answers. We prepared, we did this, we did that. The number one answer was, I plan to sell my business when I'm physically and or mentally unable to continue. So that's, first of all, not a good answer. And so the mindset, some of the things that we found out from this study is, 50% of them have to sell their business in order to live their ideal lifestyle or the retirement goal. So the pressure's on. It's not like, well, I could just shut this thing down, or if I sell it, great. It's just, the cherry on top. They need to sell. The pressure's on. They need to sell this company. And for the vast majority, it was their largest asset. So you're thinking, okay, they would know the value of their largest asset. And what we found was over 60% have never had any kind of a fair market analysis or evaluation ever, let alone in the last couple of years, to actually truly understand what is their company worth in today's fair market, in today's M&A marketplace. 32% said, I don't even know where to start or even who to trust. Like, I don't even know what even step one is. And 65% of them were tied. They said their identity was deeply tied to their company or being a business owner. So it's almost like having having their business was like their child or their baby. And 76% of them started the company. We asked, how did you get into business? And 76% said we founded the company. So they birthed this thing up of this idea and built it and grew it. And now, so you're emotionally tied to this asset. It's your largest asset. You've never done, and by the way, you've never done this before. 90% said I've never sold my company before, or a company before, that this would be the first time. I don't know what it's worth. And, I get one chance. I get one chance at bat to do it. And I'm going up against experts in the low middle market. I'm going up against private equity firms and corporate development teams that this is all that they do. I just moderated a panel 2 weeks ago at a national conference, and the private equity groups ranged from 3,000 to 5,000. They looked at 3,000 to 5,000 companies and bought anywhere between 5 and 12 companies. But I, as a business owner, never done it before. I get one chance to do it. So you can see how the cards are really stacked against the owner. And the owner in this, it's very, very good in what they do, is really the underdog when it comes to selling their company. And it's funny. The other things we kind of saw is reading between the lines is all the traits that make a business owner great. Again, as we mentioned before, they're resilient. They've got grit. They've got passion. They've got problem-solving abilities. They fix things. They know how to pivot and go in a different direction. All of those same traits make a business owner a really bad seller, because you can't trial and error a sale. You can't pivot, halfway through and go, oh no, that was no harm, no foul. There's no redos. There's mulligans. There's no golf like in mulligan. There's no mulligans like in golf. That they get one chance to do it. And when you look at all these things, you can clearly see why the odds are against them and why the closing ratio is only 20 to 30%.
It's the Agribusiness Report. Scott Bushkie is managing partner, founder, Cornerstone Business Services. All right, Scott, a gentle reminder that something is only worth what someone's willing to pay for it, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, we can all write down a number, what we think it should be or what I need, what I want it to be. Nobody cares. At the end of the day, it's what will some group, what will some company, private equity firm, family office, individual, what will they pay for your company? That's it. And what we've seen is a way to combat this, think of it as almost like a teeter-totter where the owner's on the bottom. They've never done this before. All the things we talked about is buyers looks at 3,000, they buy 5 companies. They know they have all the tricks. They know this. They do that every day. They wake up to buy companies at the lowest possible price and the best structure possible, put as much risk on the seller as possible. Well, if you can start the conversation earlier and get people on your side, so get an investment banker, M&A advisor like Cornerstone on your side, get an M&A attorney on your side, get tax people on your side. Now at least you're leveling the playing field. And what we do is we have our Assurance 360 process that we take clients through, or the structured sale process. And when you can tell the right story to the right group of people, don't put in asking price on the company, create urgency and scarcity, create like an auction-like environment, and get all the offers at one time. That's what we call POMO, the power of multiple offers. So everybody's heard of FOMO, fear and missing out. This is POMO, the power of multiple offers. When the owner can get multiple offers, that's when all of a sudden now the seller has the advantage, because he or she can negotiate with multiple buyers at the same time. And those buyers, know that there's other buyers at the table. So if they truly want this deal, they've got to bid up. And in fact, we just literally are signing an LOI today on a client where they had a private offer come in unsolicited, and all these business owners are getting unsolicited offers all day long. And this is why. They came in, they negotiated from $8 million up to $10 million, and they said, "Look, we can't pay any more. That is our last and final offer. Take it or leave it. We think it's a great offer." And the owner said, "Well, we're actually thinking about working with this group called Cornerstone Business Services, and we just want to make sure we do this right. And we're going to keep you in the table. You might be the buyer at the end of the day. We just want to make sure we're doing it right." They sent that email out, and within 5 minutes, that buyer called back and said, literally, quote, "What's it going to take for you not to sign with Cornerstone?" After they just said, we can't pay any more money, like, how much more money do you want not to sign? Because they knew if they got into, from a buyer value, they got into a market value, that they were going to have to pay more. And we're signing an LOI today with the buyer that's paying $14 million, 40% more than what that initial offer was going to pay. And we've seen deals like that all day long. We've seen where there's an unsolicited offer. We'll bring other offers to the table, running our process again. And because of that power of multiple offers, the one that we just did, they got offers for 25 and 31 with an earnout, maybe could have got up to 36. We did a deal. We worked our process, and 46 days later closed at $51.3 million. So it's just amazing that how they can, if an owner starts the conversation earlier, understands what are all my options. It might not be to sell to a third party with Cornerstone. It might be transitioning it to your kids or management team, which is great if that makes sense for you. But what are all my options? What makes the most sense for what I'm trying to accomplish? And then really getting that fair market analysis. That's where we see that's the trigger event, because once they understand the real value of what that looks like, now they can say, okay, it's $20 million. What am I going to net out of this thing? And what's the worst case scenario? What can we do to save $500,000, $1 million, $2 million in taxes? And then, all right, now what do I need for my lifestyle number? What's what we call it the lifestyle number? What's that wealth gap that people need to fill in order to live their ideal lifestyle? So if your net number is 10 and your lifestyle number is 8, now you know that, hey, we've got enough money, we can sell and live our ideal lifestyle. If it's flipped around, if your lifestyle number is 10 and your net number is 8, well, you've got two choices. Either lower your lifestyle down to 8 because you're burnt out, you're tired, you're sick, whatever it might be, or you go back up to step 1 of our process, which is value enhancement, work on a couple of things that we highlighted in the fair market analysis, and then we just come back around until it makes sense. But it's really starting with a conversation and getting that fair market analysis done that really help business owners beat the system. And the earlier you do that, the more chance you have of getting those multiple offers and living the lifestyle that you want and finishing strong.
Scott Bushkie is our special guest on today's Agribusiness Report. This is the Agribusiness Report. Scott Bushkie is managing partner, founder, Cornerstone Business Services. All right, Scott, if we want to try to track you down and find out more, where do we find you?
Yeah, you can give us a call at our corporate number here, which is 920-436-9890, or go to our website at www.cornerstone and then a hyphen or dash business.com. So cornerstone-business.com.
Scott Bushkie is the managing partner and founder with Cornerstone Business Services. I'm Tony St. James. It's the Agribusiness Report.